Hi, my name is Kevin Duska. Welcome to Rogue Insights by Prime Rogue Inc. Today, we're going to talk to you about the UN General Assembly, the 79th one, occurring from the 24th of the 30th of September. We're talking about a UN General Assembly being held during a moment of global tumult and crisis, as we are seeing clearly, or almost clearly, intractable geopolitical conflicts, serious global issues such as climate change, and immense struggles in meeting the UN Sustainable Development Goals, to the point where UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres has basically warned that the world is heading into quote-unquote a powder keg based on the conflicts and the failures of global cooperation that are occurring right now. He does say that, quote, if we act together, we can overcome global challenges, but there are many reasons, many of them rooted in the paradigm of structural realism or offensive realism, that would lead us to think this is not the case. And by the way, if you're new here, we would appreciate if you hit the subscribe button and liked this video and shared it with a friend, left a comment. We're checking the comments regularly. But if we're understanding why the world is in such a decrepit state right now, we need look no further than Russia / Ukraine and the Middle East. Although if we look at this map, we'll see that global conflicts have become ubiquitous. Massive amounts of troops deployed in South Sudan, Chad, Niger, Mali. All these African countries are experiencing authoritarian backslides. There's still an ongoing conflict in Kashmir, in Nepal. The Philippines has an insurgency. El Salvador is in trouble. Haiti is an absolute mess. But the two main conflicts are Russia and Ukraine. Leading up to the assembly, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has basically critiqued is a very, very mild word, torn into Russia, basically emphasizing that they can't win the war by regular terms. So now they're starting to go after things like Ukraine's energy infrastructure to basically break the will of the people and freeze them to death as winter is coming. He says, quote, Russia can't win on the battlefield, so it's finding other ways to torment Ukrainian citizens. In the Middle East, we have leaders like Iran's President Raisi or Qatar's Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani addressing the Gaza conflict, which is now turning into a Lebanese conflict, which we're going to discuss in a later video, with Al Thani stating the international community bears responsibility for its failure to stop the catastrophe in Gaza. If we look at both of these conflicts, they're somewhat intractable. If we look at Russia, not only is it motivated by geopolitical concerns tied to the balance of power and expansion and creating a buffer against NATO out here on the western flank of its border, but we're also talking about Putin's deep-rooted ideological desire to regain control over Ukraine, which he sees as intrinsic to what Russia is meant to be. If we look at the Israeli whatever conflict, we can see that Netanyahu is not only motivated by defending Israel, but also motivated by significant domestic political concerns regarding his own political future, the potential of going to jail, etc. And as the conflict is expanding into Lebanon, we're kind of seeing the return of great power politics. We're not even talking about the rising U.S.-China conflict as we've seen in relation to some clashes occurring here in the Philippines, Filipino waters that are contested anyway. But combine this with climate change. The President of the General Assembly, Dennis Francis, stated, with sea levels rising faster than any point in the past 3,000 years, the time for action is now. No, really, the time for action was 50 years ago, and I think we're heading into a time where it's a little bit too late, which leads us to the point where it's clear that global governance is not working. Now, we've talked in the past about UN Security Council reform because of the permanent 5 members and the unsustainable nature of the veto system and how it currently precludes meaningful international responses in a consistent way to the crises that occur in the system. But it seems to be going far beyond that right now. The neoliberal dream of multilateralism is falling apart at the seams. We're likely to see an increased number of tariffs and other non-tariff barriers impeding global trade as conflict continues to accrue. We have flashpoints in Russia and Ukraine, in the Israeli area, let's just call it that, for the sake of it, and likely over Taiwan in the near future. There's this author called John Mearsheimer who wrote a book called The Tragedy of Great Power Politics, which I'm going to link down in the description below, which basically discusses how the post-Cold War period was one in which constructivist theorists like Alex Wendt could say that we've moved past international anarchy, or where the neoliberals were basically saying, well, if we trade, we're not going to go to war. It's becoming quite clear that as American hegemony wanes, that is not a sustainable approach to global governance. If we cannot solve collective action problems like climate change and rising seawaters, it's unlikely that we can find any way, as Gutierrez stated, to act together to overcome global challenges. I don't want to sound overly pessimistic, but if you look at today's map of global conflicts, and if we look at the global conflicts that are to come, and I never thought I would have said this back when I was in graduate school, Mearsheimer's thesis that we're heading back to a world of war, a Hobbesian world, seems to be coming true. And we'll be talking a lot about that in the coming days. But let's watch the speeches at the General Assembly as we break off tonight here on the 25th of September here, 2:30 in the afternoon, Calgary. We are learning that the Israeli War Cabinet has or is about to approve a ground invasion of Lebanon. So clearly things are, I'm being sarcastic here, getting a lot better as we go, but we're going to be exploring this in the next couple of days. In the meantime, check out John Mearsheimer's work in the description below. Drop us a follow or subscription, whatever it's called. Drop us a like, share us with your friends, with your enemies. Kevin Duska from Prime Rogue Inc. with Rogue Insights. Thank you.